The unexpected arrival. The vast emptiness of space erupted in brilliant flashes of energy as the Varaxian fleet exchanged fire with the Meridian warships. Grand Commander Zilith of the Meridian Confederation watched from the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Vigilance, as another of his light cruisers succumbed to enemy fire. Its hull breached in multiple locations before secondary explosions tore the vessel apart. "Status report," Zilith demanded, his four eyes narrowing as he studied the tactical display. "Not good, Commander," First Officer Narani replied, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. "We've lost 6 cruisers and 3 support vessels. The Varaxians have pushed through our defensive line in Sector 9. Their dreadnoughts are advancing toward the Helios Gateway." Zilith's facial membranes fluttered in frustration. The Helios Gateway was the sole reason for this conflict, an ancient alien structure capable of creating stable wormholes across the galaxy. For 2 decades, the Meridian Confederation and the Varaxian Empire had fought for control of the 12 known gateways. This one, discovered just 3 cycles ago, could turn the tide of the war. "Divert the 7th Fleet to reinforce Sector 9, Zilith ordered. "We cannot lose the gateway." "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "long-range sensors are detecting an anomaly at coordinates 37 to 8912. "Varaxian reinforcements?" Zilith asked, mandibles clicking nervously. "Unknown, sir. The energy signature doesn't match any known configuration in our database." The massive view screen at the front of the bridge shifted to show the anomaly, a swirling vortex of blue-white energy tearing through the fabric of space. It wasn't a Varaxian hyperspace jump. Their signature was red-shifted and more stable. This was something else entirely. "Magnify," Zilith commanded. The image zoomed in just as a vessel emerged from the vortex. It was unlike anything Zilith had ever seen, neither the elegant crystalline structures of Meridian design nor the organic asymmetrical shapes favored by the Varaxians. This ship was primitive-looking, blocky, utilitarian. Its hull was dark gray with minimal markings, and it lacked the external energy fields that all advanced civilizations employed. "What species constructed that monstrosity?" Narani whispered. "Analysis," Zilith demanded. The science officer, a tall, multi-limbed Etherian named Calix, worked his control panel. "Approximately 800 meters in length. Hull composition unknown. Our scans aren't penetrating effectively. Power source, difficult to read but incredibly concentrated. Weapons systems, present but configuration unknown. Life signs, organic, carbon-based, oxygen brothers, most likely." A collective silence fell over the bridge as the implications became clear. "Humans," Zilith said finally. "They're humans." "Impossible," Narani objected. "Humans are a pre-FTL species confined to their solar system. The Galactic Council's observation posts confirm they're at least a century from achieving interstellar travel." "Evidently," Zilith replied dryly, "that assessment was flawed." The human vessel hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, seemingly oblivious to the massive battle raging around it. Zilith found himself fascinated by its crude design, all sharp angles and exposed components. By Meridian standards, it was absurdly vulnerable. "They've positioned themselves directly between our forces and the Varaxian advance," Calix noted. "Hail them," Zilith ordered. "Let's find out what they're doing in the middle of our war." The communications officer worked his console for several moments before looking up in confusion. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies, in perfect galactic standard." The view screen flickered, and Zilith found himself facing a human. The creature had only 2 eyes, flat facial features, and a peculiar covering of dark fur atop its head. It wore a simple gray uniform with minimal insignia. "This is Captain Helena Chen of the United Earth Defense Force vessel Defiant," the human stated calmly. "To both belligerent parties, this conflict ends now." Zilith's membranes fluttered in astonishment at the sheer audacity. "This is Grand Commander Zilith of the Meridian Confederation. Human vessel, you have entered a restricted military zone. Your presence here is unauthorized and dangerous. Withdraw immediately." The human captain's expression remained unchanged. "I'm afraid that won't be possible, Commander. We have been observing your war for some time. We cannot allow either faction to control the gateway network." Before Zilith could respond, the tactical officer shouted, "Commander, 3 Varaxian dreadnoughts have altered course. They are targeting the human vessel." On the tactical display, Zilith watched as the massive Varaxian ships, each nearly twice the size of the Defiant, moved to surround the human ship. Their weapon ports glowed with building energy. "Captain Chen," Zilith said urgently, "the Varaxians are preparing to open fire. Your vessel cannot withstand their firepower. Withdraw now." The human's lips curved slightly upward in what Zilith recognized as a smile. "Thank you for your concern, Commander. It's unnecessary." The tactical display suddenly erupted with warnings as the Varaxian dreadnoughts fired simultaneously, dozens of energy beams converging on the human vessel from multiple angles. Zilith watched, expecting to see the primitive ship vaporized instantly. Instead, something impossible happened. A meter before reaching the Defiant's hull, each energy beam simply stopped. They hung suspended in space, writhing like living things struggling against invisible restraints. Then, with breathtaking precision, the beams curved away from the human vessel and shot back toward the Varaxian ships that had fired them. 2 dreadnoughts managed to raise their shields in time, though the impact still caused significant damage. The third, caught completely unprepared, suffered catastrophic hull breaches as its own weapons tore through its superstructure. "By the sacred void," Narani whispered, "they redirected the energy attacks." "Impossible," Calix muttered, his scientific certainty shaken. "Energy redirection at that scale violates fundamental laws of physics." Captain Chen's image remained on the view screen, her expression now tinged with something like disappointment. "The Varaxian Empire has chosen aggression. Regrettable but not unexpected." The Defiant suddenly accelerated, moving with a speed that defied its bulky appearance. It approached the nearest damaged Varaxian dreadnought, which immediately attempted to retreat. "What are they doing?" Zilith wondered aloud. His answer came moments later as the human vessel extended what appeared to be a simple mechanical arm from its forward section. The arm touched the dreadnought's hull, and the massive Varaxian ship went completely dark. All energy signatures, all systems, simply ceased functioning. "Total systems failure on the Varaxian vessel," Calix reported, his voice rising with disbelief. "No energy readings whatsoever. It's as if they've been completely powered down." The Defiant repeated this process with the second damaged dreadnought, rendering it equally inert. The third, relatively undamaged vessel attempted to flee, engines pushing to maximum output. The human ship didn't pursue. Instead, a small portion of its hull shifted, revealing what appeared to be a primitive projectile weapon. A single object, too small to be clearly visible on sensors, launched toward the retreating Varaxian ship. When it impacted, there was no explosion. Instead, a wave of energy rippled across the dreadnought's surface. Like its companions, it went completely dark, drifting powerless through space. The bridge of the Eternal Vigilance fell silent as the Meridian officers tried to comprehend what they had witnessed. A single human vessel had neutralized 3 Varaxian dreadnoughts in less than 5 minutes, without apparently causing any casualties. Captain Chen's face reappeared on the view screen. "Grand Commander Zilith, I would like to invite you aboard the Defiant for discussions regarding the future of this region of space. You may bring 2 advisors. We guarantee your safety." Zilith's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep thought among his species. "And if I decline?" The human's expression remained neutral. "Then we will extend the invitation to the Varaxians instead. One way or another, Commander, this war ends today." As the communication ended, Narani approached Zilith. "Sir, You can't seriously be considering boarding that vessel. What they've demonstrated, it's beyond anything we've seen. They could be planning to neutralize our leadership." Xylith stared at the tactical display, where the human ship now sat motionless amid the disabled Voraxian dreadnoughts. "If they wanted to neutralize us," he said slowly, "they could have done so already." He turned to his officers. "Narani, Calix, you'll accompany me to the human vessel. Perhaps it's time we learned just how wrong we've been about humanity." As the Meridian shuttle approached the Defiant, Xylith couldn't help but notice how crude the human ship looked up close. Its hull pockmarked with what appeared to be hasty repairs and modifications. It was the vessel of a species that built for function over form, that valued practicality over aesthetics. And somehow, that made it all the more terrifying. Tyranning the tide. The interior of the human vessel defied all of Xylith's expectations. He had anticipated cramped corridors and primitive technology. Instead, he found spacious passageways with seamlessly integrated systems that, while not matching Meridian aesthetic standards, demonstrated remarkable engineering. "Welcome aboard, Grand Commander," Captain Helena Chen said, greeting the Meridian delegation in what appeared to be a conference room. Two other humans stood behind her, one with darker skin and one with lighter, showcasing the species' peculiar physical diversity. "This is my first officer, Commander Okoro," Chen indicated the darker-skinned human, "and Chief Science Officer Dr. Petrov." The lighter-skinned human nodded politely. "Thank you for your invitation," Xylith replied, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into Galactic standard. "This is First Officer Narani and Science Officer Calix." Captain Chen gestured toward a table where various refreshments had been arranged, including, Xylith noted with surprise, traditional Meridian nectars. "You've studied our species," he observed. "Thoroughly," Chen confirmed. "Just as we've studied the Voraxians, we believe in being prepared." "For what, exactly?" Narani asked, her bioluminescence pulsing with suspicion. "For our introduction to the galactic community," Commander Okoro answered, "though we had hoped for a more peaceful context." Xylith settled his elongated form into a chair specially designed to accommodate Meridian physiology, another sign of the humans' thorough preparations. "Let's dispense with diplomatic niceties," he said. "Your presence here violates at least 16 Galactic Council protocols regarding contact with pre-FTL species. The humans were supposed to be confined to their solar system for at least another century." Chen smiled. "We've been aware of the observation posts in our system for decades, Commander. We simply chose not to acknowledge them." "Impossible," Calix interjected. "Our stealth technology is impressive," Dr. Petrov completed, "but not infallible, especially not against detection methods outside your technological paradigm." A cold sensation crept along Xylith's spine. "How long have you been capable of interstellar travel?" The three humans exchanged glances before Chen answered. "We achieved practical FTL travel approximately 50 Earth years ago, about 35 of your cycles." Narani's bioluminescence flashed with shock. "That's before the current conflict began." "Yes," Chen acknowledged. "We've been observing the war between your civilizations since its inception. We decided to intervene only when it became clear that the fighting would soon reach systems near our territory." Xylith leaned forward. "The capabilities you demonstrated against the Voraxian dreadnoughts, they violate our understanding of physics." Dr. Petrov smiled. "Not violated, Commander. Extended. Human scientific development took a different path than most spacefaring species. We focused on energy manipulation and quantum mechanics rather than conventional propulsion and weapons technology." "What exactly did you do to those ships?" Calix asked, scientific curiosity overcoming his apprehension. "We temporarily severed their connection to the quantum energy field," Petrov explained. "Your civilizations draw power from what you call the subspace continuum. We developed methods to selectively inhibit access to that field." The implications were staggering. Such technology would render conventional shields and weapon systems completely useless. Why reveal yourselves now? Zilith asked. If you've been observing for decades, what changed? Chen's expression grew serious. The discovery of the Helios Gateway. Our long-range sensors detected its activation. According to our research, it connects directly to 3 other gateways, including one in a system just 12 light-years from Earth. Zilith's membranes fluttered in surprise. The Meridian Confederation wasn't even aware of the gateway's full connection network yet. You understand our concern, Chen continued. Neither the Meridian Confederation nor the Varaxian Empire has demonstrated the restraint necessary to control such a powerful network. The gateway system could be weaponized, turning a regional conflict into a galactic catastrophe. Before Zilith could respond, the room's lighting shifted to a subtle red hue. Captain, a disembodied voice announced, Varaxian reinforcements have arrived. 6 capital ships, including the Eternal Dominance. Chen's expression hardened. Grand Admiral Krex's flagship. He's not known for his diplomatic approach. Zilith felt a flutter of alarm. The Eternal Dominance carries enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Even with your unconventional capabilities, you can't hope to neutralize all those vessels simultaneously. We don't need to, Commander Okoro said with disturbing confidence. The view screen on the wall activated, showing the massive Varaxian reinforcement fleet. At their center, the Eternal Dominance, a behemoth twice the size of the largest Meridian vessel, pulsed with ominous energy. They're hailing us, the ship's computer announced. On screen, Chen ordered. The image shifted to reveal Grand Admiral Krex, a Varaxian warrior whose scaled face bore the ritual scars of 100 victorious battles. His eyes narrowed as he saw the mixed gathering of humans and Meridians. So the rumors are true, Krex hissed. Humans have emerged from their cradle, and their first action is to ally with our enemies. We have no alliance with the Meridian Confederation, Chen corrected calmly. Our interest is in peace and stability. Krex barked a harsh laugh. Peace. There will be peace when the gateways are under Varaxian control, as they should be. Your primitive vessel may have surprised a few of our captains, but the Eternal Dominance is not so easily outmaneuvered. Admiral Krex, Chen said, her voice taking on a harder edge, I invite you to witness something before you make threats you cannot fulfill. She nodded to Commander Okoro, who touched a control panel. The view screen split to show both Krex and a view of open space near the Helios Gateway. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to ripple like disturbed water. A massive object emerged from the distortion, another human vessel, but vastly larger than the Defiant. Where the Defiant was sleek and functional, this new arrival was colossal and imposing. Its dark hull bristled with what were unmistakably weapons ports. The UED of Harbinger, Chen introduced. Our first true battleship. Even Krex fell momentarily silent as a second spatial distortion appeared. Then a third, each disgorging another massive human warship. How many vessels do you have? Zilith asked quietly. Enough, Chen replied simply. We didn't want to make this a show of force, Commander. Our preference was for diplomatic resolution, but Admiral Krex should understand that we came prepared for alternatives. On the screen, Krex's expression had shifted from confidence to calculation. Impressive theater, he conceded. But I note that your reinforcements maintain their distance. Perhaps they share the same vulnerabilities as your Defiant. Impressive displays covering fundamental weaknesses. Chen sighed. I had hoped this demonstration would be sufficient. She touched her communications device. Harbinger, you may proceed with the agreed-upon demonstration. On the view screen, the largest human battleship oriented toward a small, uninhabited moon, orbiting a gas giant near the battlefield. A portion of its hull reconfigured, revealing what appeared to be a simple, circular aperture. A beam of intense white light shot forth, striking the moon. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the moon's surface began to ripple like liquid. In seconds, the entire celestial body, nearly 300 kilometers in diameter, simply dissolved into component particles, leaving nothing but a faint cloud of dust where a solid satellite had been moments before. The conference room fell completely silent. Molecular dissociation on a planetary scale, Dr. Petrov explained quietly. We discovered the principles 60 years ago. We've never deployed it against anything larger than an asteroid until now. Zilith felt a cold terror unlike anything in his long military career. The Meridian Confederation's most powerful weapons could, at best, create localized damage to a planetary surface. This was orders of magnitude beyond their capabilities. On the screen, even the fearsome Admiral Krex appeared shaken. You would destroy worlds. No, Chen said firmly. We would prevent others from doing so. The Gateway Network could allow anyone to deliver planet-killing weapons anywhere in the galaxy within moments. We cannot allow any single power to control that capability. She stood, addressing both Zilith and Krex directly. Humanity proposes a different solution. A joint commission, Meridian, Voraxian, human, and representatives from other affected species, to administer the Gateway Network as a shared resource. Neutral zones established around each gateway. Demilitarization of all approach vectors. You expect us to simply abandon decades of war? Krex demanded, though his usual aggression seemed dampened. We expect you to recognize reality, Chen replied. Continued conflict is no longer an option. The gateways will be shared, or they will be disabled. Narani interjected. These are ancient constructs. No one knows how to deactivate them without destruction. Dr. Petrov smiled thinly. We do. Our analysis of the gateway architecture revealed their operating principles. We can render them permanently inert without physical damage. Zilith exchanged a glance with Narani. The implications were clear. Humanity wasn't simply offering mediation. They were issuing an ultimatum backed by technological capabilities that neither the Meridian Confederation nor the Voraxian Empire could hope to counter. I will need to consult with the Confederation Council, Zilith said finally. And I with the Imperial Conclave, Krex added, his characteristic belligerence notably absent. Of course, Chen agreed. You have 12 hours. After that, we implement our contingency plan. As the communication with Krex ended, Zilith turned to Captain Chen. 12 hours isn't much time to undo decades of conflict. It's amazing how quickly peace becomes attractive when the alternative becomes sufficiently unpalatable, Chen observed. But if it helps, Commander, we don't believe either of your civilizations is inherently bent on conquest. You're simply caught in an escalation spiral neither side knows how to exit gracefully. And humanity offers that exit, Kelix noted. Convenient for a species that emerges from nowhere, with technologies that render our most powerful weapons obsolete. Chen smiled. Not convenient, science officer. Planned. We've spent 30 years preparing for this moment, studying your languages, your cultures, your technologies. We wanted our introduction to the galactic community to be on our terms, not yours. And now? Zilith asked. Now we build something new, Chen said, her expression softening slightly. The Gateway Network wasn't built for war, Commander. It was created to connect worlds, to facilitate exploration and cooperation. Humanity wants to be part of that vision, but as equals, not as subjects. 12 hours later, representatives from both the Meridian Confederation and the Voraxian Empire gathered aboard the human battleship Harbinger. The Great Hall, as the humans called it, was a massive chamber designed specifically for this purpose, with accommodations for dozens of different species' physiological needs. Captain Chen, now dressed in formal diplomatic attire, addressed the assembled representatives. Today marks a new chapter in galactic history. The Treaty of Helios establishes the Interspecies Gateway Authority, a cooperative body that will manage the network for the benefit of all spacefaring civilizations. Grand Admiral Krex, surprisingly subdued, signed for the Voraxian Empire. The Empire recognizes the wisdom of cooperation in this matter, he stated, the words clearly difficult for the proud warrior. Zilith, authorized by the Confederation Council, added his signature. The Meridian Confederation embraces this opportunity for peace and mutual prosperity. As the formalities concluded, Zilith approached Captain Chen privately. You manipulated us masterfully, Captain, creating a threat greater than our mutual enmity to force cooperation. Chen's expression revealed nothing. I prefer to think of it as providing perspective, Commander. Sometimes civilizations need to be reminded of what truly matters. And now humanity joins the galactic stage, not as newcomers but as peacekeepers with technology none can match, Zilith observed. One might question whether that was your plan all along. Chen smiled enigmatically. Perhaps the better question, Commander, is what humanity might have become had we chosen to enter your war differently. The universe should be grateful we value peace over power. As Zilith watched the human captain return to her delegation, he couldn't help but wonder if the galaxy's future had just become more secure or infinitely more complicated. One thing was certain: humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again.